But it just shares a little bit of my joy to be here with you this morning. And it's great to be with friends. It's great to be with family, or my church family as well. I've gone, but you're still my church family. Um, but guys, let's just be honest. The world is a mess. Complete mess. Even more important that we get together here and we can chat about things and pray together and see each other. But if you spend any time looking at the news, it's heartbreaking, it's devastating, it's depressing. It upsets me. I look at it and there's that tension of like, oh, yet another thing. But also, these are real lives, children, vulnerable people. I mean, you name it, everything else, everything seems to be happening in the world at the same time. We have wars everywhere, and the resolution of the wars, either way, to try and make peace, is not actually looking great. We have danger of war here in Europe, here in the UK. Don't know if you know, but the military is preparing for that. They're training people. They just reduced the age for people to be enlisted. I don't say this to upset you or to make you feel scared, but this is real life. This is real life. This is the world that we're living in at the moment. We see anti-Semitism everywhere. We see hate of immigrants, of refugees. We see the impact of the global politics right here, right in our doorstep. We are now in Colindale, and we have a big Jewish community and a big Iranian community. And to be honest, we have a big community of, it seems, pretty much everywhere in the world. And it's scary. It is scary. The reality is no longer just in the news and I'm reading it. Now it can be right at my doorstep. And this breaks my heart. And I think it should break your hearts too. It's great that we come here to church, and it's a bit like an oasis, isn't it? It's a refuge. And we need that. We need that to survive. But we can't forget that we're called to be scattered. That's what we're doing most of the time. We're scattered in the real world with real pain, with real heartbreak, and these situations around us. And I think as Christians, we're called to be different than the rest of the world. We're not just called to look at the news and be, oh, isn't this so sad? And now I'm not able to do anything. We're paralyzed by fear, by the pain, by anxiety. But we're not called either to just doom scroll on social media, to be entertained, to get distracted, because it's not here yet. It's not with me yet. It's not my family yet. So I can afford to ignore it. We're not called to have either of those positions. We're called to be different. We are called to be a prophetic people. And this is the theme of this preaching series. How can we be a prophetic people together, reflecting the heart of God to the world that we live in? Even in the midst of all this heartbreak, even in the midst of all this horrible news that we're bombarded with, we are called to be prophetic people. And I know that last week Rich was starting this series and he was sharing a little bit about what it means to be a prophetic people. But I'm not going to assume that you were here last week because I wasn't here last week. So I'm going to do a recap of where Rich left us and what he shared with us then, so we can situate ourselves. I know you've been looking through the prophet Isaiah, the book of the prophet Isaiah for a while. But if you are new here today, here's a little bit of context for you. So last week, Rich shared about what it means to be a prophetic people. And you looked at 1 Corinthians 14 and discovered that New Testament prophecy isn't about just telling the future. It's not fortune telling. It's about spirit-led strengthening, spirit-led encouraging, and spirit-led comforting. So when we talk about us being prophetic people in these crazy scenario that we're living in at the moment, this is what it means to be led by the Spirit. The Spirit at Pentecost that we're celebrating today, the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead, that brings new life, that strengthens, that encourages, that comforts. We're meant to be led and guided by the Spirit to live in the times that we live in. And I love that Rich challenged us with something basic but really true. That if we want to be prophetic collectively, we need to spend time with God. individually, collectively, but individually as well. We have to listen to God if we want to speak for God. We need to hear what He's saying. So, this is an encouragement for you. Spend time with God. When you look at those horrible news, spend time with God. Lift it to God. Jesus, this breaks my heart. I bet it breaks your heart too. Would you please intervene? Would you please change the situation? And boldly, would you please use me to do that? This is what prophetic people are like. But today we're talking about a hidden side of their calling to be prophetic people. Because if being prophetic people is about carrying God's heart to the world that we live in, we need to acknowledge that quite often God's heart is a breaking heart. It's a heart that is sad about the situations that we see in the world. It's a heart that grieves over the brokenness of the world we live in. And so, if we are called to be prophetic people, this means that our hearts need to break at least a little for these situations, because this is a sign that we care. So, true prophetic people do not just see the truth, they feel the heaviness and the grief of a world that's not yet aligned with God's design. This is how God designed the world: peace, harmony, community, joy, life. Are we there yet? We're quite far. We're really, 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 really far from God's design to the world. But we are called to bring that design into the world now. We are called to stay present in a broken world. And that's a real challenge, especially in London, where the easiest thing is to put your headphones on and ignore everything else that's happening around you. Noise-canceling headphones become life-canceling headphones. Nothing else matters. And if you don't wear headphones, maybe you're scrolling on your phone or you're just daydreaming. And it's fair, you might be tired. I get tired too, and it's hot, especially today, if you're going the train. But we're called to be present in those environments, to be present in a broken world. And this is what we see here in Isaiah chapter 21, verses 1 to 10. We see Isaiah, the prophet, being present to his community. But first, he needed to be present to God. Because if he is listening to God, he needs to spend time with God. You can't listen to me if I'm not here, right? It wouldn't work. You wouldn't know what I'm saying. So you need to be present here. I need to be present here to be able to listen, to communicate, to engage with one another. And it's exactly the same with God. We need to be present to God first. We can count on him to always be present. That is who he is. God Emmanuel, God with us, and through the Holy Spirit, he's present with us all the time, everywhere. But are we present to him? Isaiah was present to God. And because he was present to God, God spoke to him, and he was able to be present in the broken world that he was part of. Present even when the prophecy that he was carrying, the truth of God that he was carrying, was really hard to share. And that's what we see here in this passage. And that's why it starts with saying that this is a dire vision. You see in verse 2, this is a dire vision that's been shown to Isaiah. And he sees here a vision of what's going to happen. Babylon, big in power, big empire, and the empire that for us today represents as well the powers of darkness in the world, the brokenness of the world, was saying to the people of Judah, if you align yourself with us, we'll protect you. So you don't need God, really. You just align yourself with us, and you are safe, and you'll be okay. And guess what the people of God thought? Great idea. Let's do that. Fantastic. This is the best thing ever. Let's align ourselves with Babylon because they are going to protect us. So they forgot that trust in the Lord. They forgot that. And so Isaiah is saying to them, you know what you're doing? It makes no sense. It's going to bring destruction to you. I've heard from God and I'm sharing with you. This is not a good way forward. And this is what he's saying here when he says that the traitor betrays and the looter takes loot. It's like those that are set to destroy, guess what they're going to do? Destroy. Those that are set to betray, guess what they're going to do? Betray. And so the people of Judah thought, if we ally ourselves with Babylon, then we are safe from Assyria. Assyria won't attack us. But this was false hope. This wasn't true. And Isaiah sees this, and he's heartbroken by it. He feels it in his body. Can you see in verse 4, in verse 3 and 4, what he says? At these, my body is racked with pain. Pain seized me like those of a woman in labor. I'm staggered by what I hear. I'm bewildered by what I see. My heart falters. Fear makes me tremble. The twilight I longed for has become a horror to me. He's saying, seeing that this is going to happen is breaking my heart, because I know this is not what God has for you. But you've turned your back on God and you've decided to trust something else, someone else to protect you rather than me. And now you are at a situation where destruction will happen, because Babylon is not going to be able to protect you, because they too will fall. So this is what it says here at the end of those verses that we read. In verse 9, it says, Babylon has fallen, has fallen. So this is Isaiah saying to them, see, the ones that you trusted to protect you, the powers of darkness that you chose to ally yourself with, guess what's going to happen? They too will fall. They too will fall. So they're not safe. They're not going to protect you. And Isaiah is just heartbroken by that, because he knows what this means. This means exile. This means people are going to be taken into captivity. This means death. This means what we see happens in Daniel, in the book of Daniel, when the people of God are taken to exile in Babylon. And this is what verse 5 especially is relating to Daniel chapter 5. It says, they set the tables, they spread the rugs, they eat, they drink, get up, you officers, oil the shields. This is a reference to what happens in Daniel 5, where the king of Babylon is very relaxed, drinking and eating and using even some of the utensils from the temple of Jerusalem. As they take people to exile, this lots of years later, take people to exile, and the kings of Babylon is there using stuff that is used in their temple to drink and to just have fun. And so they're referring back to this, a prophecy to what happened there in Daniel 5, saying, you see, these people, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing, but you chose to trust them, and now destruction is going to take place. This is just the consequence of that decision. It's quite heavy prophecy, isn't it? Quite heavy prophecy. But this is what we're called to do as prophetic people. We are to speak truth in love. We are to say, this is not, the way you're going is not how God is guiding you to go. And I'm giving you a warning. This is a warning. This hadn't happened yet. This was a warning. I'm telling you now what happened after. I'm giving you a spoiler. But this hadn't happened yet. He was saying, please pay attention to this. Be alert. This is what's going to happen. And when it happens, it's going to be so sad. And I'm upset about that. I'm heartbroken by that. Now, this may feel a little bit weird that Isaiah is actually feeling the pain of the people turning their backs on God. But this is very common for prophets, very common for prophetic people. And we see that with the other prophets in the Bible. We see Jeremiah. Do you know what Jeremiah was known for? Does anyone know? Weeping, a weeping prophet. You know what that he means? He was crying all the time. He was so upset, so devastated, because people weren't following God's ways. And he saw what would happen, the consequences of not following God, of putting your trust in something else. And his heart was broken, and his eyes couldn't take it, just crying, a weeping prophet. We see Ezekiel taking a bit more of a radical approach to this. He did lots of big demonstrations of the consequences of not following God. Things like shaving his head. I mean, there's lots. If you're going to talk more about Ezekiel later, I won't spoil it for you. But if you like that sort of thing, you're going to enjoy. You're going to enjoy learning more about Ezekiel. You know, he was very expressive in the messages that God was giving to him, the prophetic messages that God was giving to him for the people. And because the people weren't listening, he was like, "Come on, guys, this is what's happening." Shave his head, eat foods that had been cooked with poo. Just like crazy stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? Not light stuff, radical stuff. So we come to this passage, and it may feel really unfamiliar to us what's happening here. But for a prophet, this is not unfamiliar territory. They feel God's breaking heart for his loved people. And this challenges me. Do I feel God's breaking heart for the world? Do I feel God's breaking heart for the people that he created? Does he upset me in the same way? Or am I too busy on Instagram? Does he upset you in the same way? Or are you too distracted? We see here Isaiah lamenting the state of the people of God and warning them. And prophets do that. Prophetic people do this. They feel the pain of people turning away from God and the consequences of those actions in the whole of society. So what does it mean for you and I to be prophetic today? Does it mean to be like Ezekiel, like Jeremiah, like Isaiah? Maybe. I bet lots of different things won't apply for us in the same way because it will for a particular time, a particular season, and particular word that God spoke to them. But we can learn from them about feeling God's heart for what really matters. And that looks like staying present to God, and it looks like staying present in a broken world. Being prophetic people, if New River are to become more prophetic as a church, if you as an individual are to become more prophetic, you have more empathy because that's what happens. If you care, when things go wrong, when people are hurt, you feel it too. So this means that at times we experience holy anger. We're upset about the way that the world is. I'm upset that we have so many wars. I'm upset that people feel scared to go outside. I'm upset by the way we treat migrants like me. I'm upset about those things. So that's holy anger because God's heart is for peace, it's for connection, for restoration. But there's holy sadness in that as well. It's a grief for how the world is not how God would like it to be. It's a grief over the brokenness of people's lives and our world. And I want to show you the next picture because I think this is what happens. We live in very polarizing times, and this means the way we respond to those times is also very polarized. So we have sensationalists, which means we have an exaggerated fear, anxiety. And this is what the media will try and do. They're just trying to get you to spend more time reading the news. So they're going to bring the most chaotic things right to the top so you can read it. And that's fine, that's their job. But what happens is that sometimes we can react in the same way. We respond to the situations in the same way, where we let fear and anxiety dominate us. And what happens is that we get paralyzed. So it doesn't actually help us to move into action. We just feel so overwhelmed. We can't deal with anything else. So we stop. We stop. So sensationalist approach to respond to a broken world. And then we have the numbing approach to dealing with the brokenness of the world, which is, let's just pretend it's not happening while we're here. And maybe we'll stop. I hope it stops. Until you reach me anyway, I hope it will stop, you know. Just numbing ourselves to it. And we can do that, like I mentioned, on Instagram, going on our phones. We can do that by working, overworking. We can do that by filling our time with lots of things that are good, but not helpful in responding to the world. And can I be honest with you? We can do that with church too. We can come here and numb ourselves to the reality of the world because it's easier not to talk about it, not to deal with it. But this is not where prophetic people are meant to be. We're not meant to be paralyzed by fear and completely anxious and overwhelmed, completely dominated by the brokenness of the world. But we're not to pretend it's not happening either. To be prophetic people means we are right here. Thank you, George. We are right here as prophetic people. We are present to God through prayer, through times where we're gathered here as a church, through worship, and that means singing, but that also means the way we live our lives, the decisions that we make that honor God. And we're meant to be prayerful. Present and prayerful. This is what prophetic people are meant, that's how we're meant to respond to these situations, to be prayerful and to be present. Present to God and present in a broken world. So I want to share with you 2 examples of people, Christians, in the past and in the present, they have been present to God and present to the world. Are you up for some stories? Yeah? Okay, so the first one, we have, not the photo yet, George, keep that there. We have the plague of Carthage. So in the 3rd century, a devastating plague, a bit like COVID, swept through the Roman Empire in the city of Carthage. And people were abandoning their own families because they were worried about themselves and that they would catch it. And the pagan culture at the time chose numbness. They chose survival and self-preservation, so they just fled. They left people to die. They just left people to die. But the early Christians, led by Bishop Cyprian, they chose a different path. They refused to flee, and they stepped directly into the plague zones. To do what? To bury the dead and to nurse the sick. Do you realize what's going on here? They decided to put their lives at risk, even, to care for those people. And those people, the very people that were persecuting them before this, and they left what they were doing, while everyone else was fleeing, they decided to stay. And you can look that up. If you don't believe me, check it out. It's in the history books. This is not just something that we Christians talk about. It happened, and it's written down, and you can see that, the plague of Carthage. And what happens then is that as they cared for the people, even though it was costly, as they were prophetic in that situation, later on, lots of people connected with God. And so we can see how by Christians being prophetic people, truly prophetic people, it brings a big impact to the whole world. Lives were saved. People encountered Jesus as a result. So we have that historical witness of what it looks like to be prophetic people from the early Christians and what they look like. Can we be bold like that? I'm not saying put your life at risk. Please don't do that. That's not what I'm saying here from the front. What I'm saying is, can you care? Can you care about the brokenness in the world? Can you choose to be present to God and to be present in a broken world? And He will guide you on what is appropriate for you to do. It may be radical to other people. It may not. But we need to stay present to God, to hear what He's saying, so we can be present in the world, just like these early Christians were. And then the second example I want to share with you is with this picture. Has anyone come across this before? Yeah? What is it? Can you share? Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Hmm. Yeah, that's right. So this is called a knife angel. So made of knives that people gave, returned. And also people that families that lost their loved ones to knife crime turned up gave some of these knives with a note of remembrance for those that lost their lives. And we see this. This is a 27-foot sculpture, craft from over 100,000 confiscated and surrendered blades from police forces from all over the UK. But this idea here started from Christians who were upset about knife crime. We just, in Burn Oak last week, we just had a stabbing of a 16-year-old. So that reality is a bit closer to us, isn't it? It's a bit closer to us. Broke my heart. When you hear of stabbings here in Islington, does it break your heart? I remember when I lived here, someone got stabbed just outside the church. Horrific. Horrific. But these Christians, they weren't just like, oh, that's so sad, I'm not going to do anything about it. It's so sad that I'm not going to get involved. Or it's so sad that I don't have time to deal with this. They decided, actually, there must be something we can do. Of course, pray, but there must be some action that we can do. So they were the ones initiating this, talking to the police forces, talking to the community groups in the area and saying, could we do this as a symbol of bringing people together and saying, we are standing against this. So this sculpture travels around the UK in front of cathedrals, and wherever they are, they run workshops for the youth about violence, against violence and knife crime, and helping them not to join gangs and that sort of stuff. So they're being very proactive. It's not just a nice piece of sculpture that is very meaningful, but it's actually doing something. It's bringing people together because it draws people's attention. But for me, this looks like being prophetic in a world that is paralyzed by fear because of the brokenness of the world, or completely numb to the reality of it. This is what we are called to be. So, New River, what can you do with the situations, the brokenness that you have around here? What can you do? How are you staying present to God? And how are you staying present in a broken world right here in Islington? So let us be a church that refuses to look away when we see brokenness. Let's do like Isaiah. You see here in verse 6, he says, go post a lookout. And then he talks about being a watchman. He's alert. He's listening to what God is saying. But he's also alert to what's happening where he is. Can we do that? Let's stand at our post, holding the tension between truth and love, knowing that our God, He's sovereign over the empires of the world. He's sovereign over the darkness. He is present, and He's inviting you to be present with Him and to be present in our world. So we're going to spend some time now singing and in worship, but I have a few invitations for you. Yeah, do come in. Perhaps you're here today and you're like, yes, I see the brokenness in the world, but I really see the brokenness within. And I need God to be present. And the reason that perhaps you can be present in a broken world is because you feel too broken. And you know, if that's you this morning, this is not a message of condemnation. This is a message of invitation for you to be present with God, who is present with you through the Holy Spirit. So we're going to spend some time in worship, and this is a space for you to be present. I'll be available to pray with anyone. Please, please, please be brave. If you feel like that, put your hand up, and we'll come and pray with you. No, there'll be other people around that can pray as well. But if you feel that sense of brokenness within, and you want Jesus to come and be fully present in your situation, and you're saying, your posture is saying, I'm too present. I am present as well, God, to you. That's one invitation for you. The second one is that perhaps you do feel you've been numbing a little bit the brokenness of the world, and you've been putting your life-canceling headphones on because it's too much. There's an invitation to receive forgiveness from God, to confess that, and to say, Lord, I'm sorry when I numb myself to the reality of the world that you created. Help me. Help me be prophetic in my words and in my actions. Help me model your heart to people. So there's an invitation there for confession and forgiveness as well. And I think this might be for all of us, especially today at Pentecost, or just saying, Holy Spirit, come and empower us. Come and guide us. We want to be led by you, where to go, what to do, what to say. Lots of different ideas, lots of different potential, lots of different demands. But God, tell me what you want me to do. How do you want me to join in? And we're going to spend some time asking that. So I'll just say again, first invitation, if you feel, I'm just going to say it plainly. If you feel you're too broken at the moment that it's really hard to even engage with anything else, to be present, I would love to pray with you. If you feel like you've been numbing yourself from the reality of the world, or you're paralyzed by fear, there's an invitation for confession and forgiveness, and an invitation for all of us to say, come, Holy Spirit, help us.